As Christchurch moves into the restoration phase after the September the 4th earthquake, there are many questions being raised about building codes and how possible it is to earthquake-proof a building. Most agree you can never reach a position where you would be 100% earthquake-proof. But the fact that so many buildings remain standing in Christchurch after the quake shows that even those structures that are only reaching a percentage of the code are still capable of withstanding the tremors. Much of the Christchurch damage has been to the bits of buildings that aren't integral to the structure of the building. Sue Wells is the leader of Christchurch City Council's Regulatory and Planning Committee.
What's not going to stand up are the bricks on the outside, the parapets on the top, the decorative stuff, the things that are now sitting in the streets, blocking traffic, that squashed the cars, that made all of the front pages. They're the stuff that is real life and limb danger.
But one of the issues that's emerged in other parts of the region is the problem of liquefaction, which causes damage in a more insidious way. Even modern buildings built to the most stringent earthquake code would find it hard to survive if the very ground they're built on turns to a kind of quicksand with no support at all. Kaiapoi, north of Christchurch, was one of the worst hit areas. At first glance it looks like the pretty little town it always was, but only at first glance. Look more closely at the footbridge. That's been severely damaged by the quake. Blackwell's, Kaiapoi's iconic department store, looks fine at one end, but has completely collapsed at the other. There are cracks in the pavement, and the historic railway station, which is now used as an information centre, is only being prevented from toppling over by heavy-duty hawsers. But in the residential area is where you see the strangest sights. Parts of the subdivision have been measured as having moved 3.3 metres from where they were, causing stresses that few buildings could withstand. And this house has sunk like a torpedoed ship into the quicksand-like silt of liquefaction. Jim Palmer is Waimakariri District Council's CEO.
There's been large areas of lateral shift or spread, and properties in this part of Kaiapoi have moved up to 3 metres from where they were prior to the earthquake, and so houses have been slid sideways, and this house that we're standing in front of has moved a couple of metres from where it was prior to the quake, and that's caused obviously a total loss to this home and devastation to its occupants. And right across Kaiapoi we've either got properties that are in this situation, or they've had liquefaction and have settled. So instead of moving sideways, have sunk into the ground. The whole house moved and is now on an angle, as you can see. I understand the resident came out and ran out the front door and actually fell into the liquefied material and sunk up to their waist, and it was obviously a very scary and frightening experience for them. But houses all across Kaiapoi and Pines Karaki have settled like this one. Over 100 houses have been identified as being unsafe to live in, and we've got about another 300 that have been seriously damaged. Their fate is going to be at the hands of the Earthquake Commission and their insurers.
A walk around the town reveals cracks in roads, fallen buildings and roads which are no longer straight. But these are physical. It's been hard on the people of the area too.
There is a lot of the people who are worst affected are really stressed by the events and traumatised, and the ongoing aftershocks are not helping with that either. It's fair to say though that the Kaiapoi, Pines and Karaki communities have been absolutely tremendous in terms of resilience and their support. The volunteers have come out en masse and have been here helping day in, day out, doing whatever they can to support the community, which has been fabulous.
For Jim Palmer and his team at the local district council, it has been a testing time.
We've got a number of council staff and volunteers who have left their homes in states of disrepair, needing to come to work and do what they can for the community, and have really put their own lives on hold while that's happened, and certainly it's required the strength of their families to help them through that, and that has been testing and trying. We've had staff who have been working all hours since the disaster, I haven't been home during daylight hours. Apart from one day I managed to have some time at home just to see what had happened, but apart from that many of us haven't been home to actually see what's happened to their own homes, and in the coming days and weeks that'll be something that we'll hopefully get a chance to turn our mind to. But it's certainly been stressful for the staff and volunteers as well as the community.
The water is now drinkable again, and building workers are busy on clearing away the damaged buildings. Council workers are busy coaxing the overstressed sewage system into working well enough to help residents return to some sort of normality. But Jim Palmer says normal may still be a way off.
We've got through the emergency response phase, and now we move into the long recovery phase, and every day it's getting better. Where we are today compared to the day after the quake, there's been a huge amount of difference within our community, so that is good. But we all recognise that there's a long rebuilding process for both the residents, the businesses, and for our council infrastructure. That is going to take many months and possibly in some cases years before it's back to how it was prior to the quake.